I brought my own. Hello, I'm Simone from Setlog, and with me here is Guido, one of our co-founders. We are not here to talk about Setlog. If you guys are interested, our team will be outside later. We have Genesis and Jamie over there. Lisa mentioned something very important before. She talked about innovation and disruption. We as a software company, we do innovation every day. That's literally our business. We found out very recently that we need disruption. We needed it bad. And Guido signed up to be our lead disruptor. And out of his recent work, we had a baby. And the baby is called limbiq. And Guido is here to tell you all about limbiq today. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I still look like the baby's still inside, but they only had size M, so you have to cope with that, I'm sorry. So I'm Guido, I'm the co-founder of Setlog, and before that you have to excuse sometimes my English. I was raised on the trading floor at Lehman Brothers in London and New York, so I spent the last 18 years in retail tech, supply chain management, so that's Setlog. We cater for very large brands. We cope for any kind of supply chain processes, and that's actually taken us to limbiq. What do we do? And Adam, I have to say, usability is awesome. UX is really nice. It looks really cool. I'd love to work with that system, and that's very important. I think that's very important where we come to, and that's why I say we disrupt for digital enablement. I know how to make supply chain complex and let's say solve complex supply chain challenges. Hold on, let me put my timer on because otherwise I talk for hours. And this is what we find a lot of the times. We know supply chain is complex. Don't get me wrong, yeah? But this is why America has been so great, because you've given us all in the world simplicity, but making complex things simple is the most difficult. It is the most challenging, and that's why we said went through disruption. It almost killed myself. I lost all my hair, put on weight, and whatever you can say, is because getting to that, if you know how things, especially as a German, I'm a German. Yeah, we build great cars, but we could never build Facebook because we think of too many problems. You think of chances. So for us, you think of chances, we think of problems. That's why our cars are so cool. And so, well, they're actually cool. So we've learned a lot. So that's, our, being here in the US, having US customers really helped us a lot to understand. And, we're very grateful. So when it comes, and that's Adam, the things you're doing, keep on doing it. That's great, because we don't leave the world just to flex better on the others. So that's what I say, let's have digital enablement. And that's what you guys do as well. And that's pretty awesome. So what actually do we do at limbiq? What's our idea? We're similar, but we're different. What we care is just a purchase order. What we find is we have 99, as Joe Sutherland said yesterday, 99% of all the forwarders, but of all the suppliers in China, and it's all analog. It's emails, it's Excel spreadsheets, and so forth. There is no platform. You can forget about it. And what we want to do is actually, what we're driven is, I am intrinsically driven by sharing values among the partners of the supply chain. So that's digital enablement. Yes, disrupt, but enable. Because what is a disruption worth if it only creates value for a very few? Because that's what it does right now. So what's happened to the rest of the industry? What's happened to the 99% that's hanging out with Excel and email and that stuff and PDF? So that's what we actually looked at. So I don't want to go through the process. You know it much better than I do. But it is getting complicated. And let's have a problem. So then the supplier goes to the booking agent and says, well, I'm coming a week later. And then the booking agent says, okay, I'll ask the forwarder in Hong Kong to select, okay. And he will call the US office, says, what are we going to do? So that's why you got these huge email things going on. And we're not talking about big forwarders, but 99% is going yeah. Then the brand's going back to the forwarder, back to the booking agent, back to the supplier. It's madness. It can really get madness. Everybody you speak to is it really can be very painful. So what have we done? We've done a canvas, we've looked at it. What are actually the pains that we see? And that, the importer has the supplier and the forwarder. And that's really is the important point. How can you share values? How can you actually give a benefit to all three? Because that will be the basis for building a platform. You have to enable all three parties. of the supply chain. That's our firm belief. And you find, when we talk a lot to importers, they say, oh, we just hate going in the office in the morning. We just do not know if the next nuclear bomb is just going to explode, and we have some real big problems. And, I know the sales guy is calling me, and because Walmart called and he says, where's our stuff? What can we do? And we don't know. And the same goes to, forwarders. They go like, we'll actually we're just reacting. We're just haunted by events. And if you then go to the supplier side, the suppliers actually say, because of that, lack of transparency, people don't trust us. And we're actually doing a good job. And maybe it's not my fault that I'm delaying by a week. So these are all the challenges that we have. These are really the pains. And what are actually the needs? Everyone says transparency. Why can't we put everyone on a platform, on a fair platform? Share information without losing anything, sharing documents and all that, between the workflow. And this is what we feel is you're really driven by the procurement, by the purchase order. And this is the focus that we do here at limbiq. We want to put, it's a PO tracking, it's a procurement tracking platform. So this, the brand, via, and it's an API-driven structure. It's all in the cloud. Yeah, we basically put, the brand will put in the order. Think of it as a Dropbox with a bit of a workflow and a nice interface, a nice UX. Yeah, where you say he will put in the order. That will be displays to the supplier. The supplier can easily log into the system. He can say, okay, I'll do the booking with the forwarder. And the forwarder then can take over the documents and process it further and just put it through to the brand. That's it. We try to keep it as simple as it's possible. So if you have a look at the system, just here, and I'm more than happy to show you that, it is really very simplistic. It's easy. It's meant to be easy. People told us, at the transport in Munich, we presented that, hey, that's the first one I get, because PO management systems tend to get very, very difficult. And of course, it doesn't cater for a Walmart. Okay, that's not what we talk about. We talk about 99% of the market that have a shipment a week or 2 shipments a week, 1 container, 2 truckloads. And this is the big advantage that you have, because you will have your trucking, you will have your, your parcels shipments, you will have your air freight, your trucking, all in one place as a brand. That makes it a lot easier. You got one point of interface. The same goes for the supplier. The more brands they onboard onto this platform, they can say, hey, that's my simple point of intake for taking purchase orders. What the platform does not do, and that's very important, get really into the jobs of the partners in the supply chain. So we're not saying, when it comes to an export management process, let's say in China, this is what the forwarder does. That's what the booking agent does. What we want to do is we just want to shovel through the information and the documents. To enable that. So we have a lot of forwarders that they say, okay, there's a Flexport, and their customers call them, or there is an on-tracking, and a convoy, or keep tracking. They say like, hey, there's a nice digital experience. What do you have? And this is what we say here, for all the forwards, for the 99% of the markets, you're very good at logistics. 10 times better than these guys. Yeah, because you've done it for 30, for 40 years. You know your business. But your digital experience that you offer to your customers or to your partners is something where you can improve. And this is, where we're aiming at. So we have a very similar pricing model to you guys. We're a bit more expensive than you, but this is what you buy a seat, or you buy, a set of seats, and that's it. We want to make it as simple as possible. The same goes to forwarders as to brands. And when you envision what is limbiq doing next, is of course because it's an entirely API-driven structure. What we're going to do is now look for partners to share in. There's a GPS tracking. We guys should definitely talk. Yeah, we should definitely talk. And others, what we're now is, I'm talking to 2 AI-driven, procurement scouting firms in Europe. They'll tell who's a good supplier of a product. So that's amazing. So you tie these things in. What about GPS tracking, ELD, all these services? That's the idea, to drive value to the partners of the supply chain. So we want to enable that by keeping as simple as possible. But our firm belief is, and that's it, it's always driven by the importer, because he has the purchase order. Yeah, you guys can tell where's a shipment, and I'll tell you what is in the shipment. Yeah, and this is why it's very important to have the relationship between the importer and the supplier as well. So short and punchy. I kept it less than 10 minutes. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Questions, please.
Questions? Oh, so many questions. We'll start here.
Who are you selling to? Is this the brand? Is this the importer? Is this the forwarder?
We're selling to forwarders, small to medium-sized forwarders. We're selling to brands, small to medium brands. We're selling to suppliers eventually, because they will all have a benefit out of this to onboard their customers. That's the platform idea. Because the forwarder will say, I'll put 5 customers on there. These 5 customers will get another forwarders. That's what we're seeing. We just launched 4 weeks ago in Europe, and this is already what we're seeing. The first bring on, it is the network effect. This is what we want. This is all that I want. I want really to enable the procurement, the purchase order to be driven, information to be shared, and value to be shared. That's very important to me. Yes, sir.
So I see you have a lot of a large partner network. Who pays for the APIs to connect with partners?
The APIs is you will have a description of the APIs, and I think you can. This is the purpose. It is so simple that actually every kind of customer should be able to with a little, let's say, a little bit of expenditure to talk to the API to get the purchase order in. Yeah. So the customers do. Or what we now do is we will start talking to TMS providers, for example. She's like, hey, do you want to offer to your customer standardized? I just want to push the PO through the system. This is something you can compete with Flexport. Yeah? Or keep trucking. You can say, hey, we're as cool as you guys. And you're actually cooler. Because you know your stuff. Yes?
Yes. Are you looking to be able to just directly export this over to like your SAP or ERP so that you can bring the information bi-directional if needed? Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this is our DNA. I mean, we have customer applications at Setlog where we have 27 SAP bilateral SAP interfaces. So the REST API, and sometimes it's really nuts. So we've done that. We try to keep it simple, but that's easy. Exactly. That's why we talk to ERP providers. That's the idea. Just have the information go. This is digital enablement. This is digital. Yeah, we want to get the 99% of the market which are not, really help them to get there and keep it simple, which is difficult. Sure.
Who owns the data across the entire platform? For example, in the aggregate, or either owns or has a right to use that data for analytics?
So we haven't even, all venture capitalists don't listen to this. We haven't even thought about the idea of what we can do with all the data. I know we can do a lot. And
as of right now, does limbiq have the right to use and analyze the data?
Yes, we have the right to use the data. Yeah, that's what we have. And but also, again, this is something, I'm not an AI's expert. Again, if people are there, so like, hey, this is a new business model, we can drive on top of that. Let's please do that.
We can help connect you with some AI experts.
Good, Brian, I love that. Thank you. Yes, please.
That screen actually looks very simplistic. I mean, do you actually go down to the product commodity level in your transactions?
No. This is Dropbox, again, because there's core competency between the brand and the supplier. Very great question. That's why, when you get into this level of complexity and data, it gets complex. And there's not a simple solution to that. That's why we say, hey, think of it as a Dropbox. And that can easily be copied. Hey, please go for it. Copy it. That's good. It's just going to drive the market. The market is so huge. It's so big. We heard it yesterday. We have 1.5 million just truck and forwarding companies here in the US. The same is in Europe. I mean, it's massive. There's so much digital enablement for that. Please go for it.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Safna. So I understand lunch is here, which is on time in comparison to yesterday. It's pizza, cold pizza and warm water. Excellent. And it's outside. So we will try to